People have been asking, what is SUMP? Is this a new production company? Is it a band? SUMP is not a band. It's a multimedia content collective. The idea is that I'm going to get all of the most creative motherfuckers that I know together, and we're going to make music and videos and skits and all types of shit. I feel like the band thing is limiting. How would you describe SUMP's music? Well, how would you describe Downtown Brown's music? It's me and some friends making some noise. So eat that friggin' content. Also, we just got hats. Yes. I just was listening to Countdown today.
Good album.
Amazing album. I mean, it took me back to, here's me, here's you. Oh, bro, okay. We're good. Sup, bro? Here, let me do a little intro real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Neil Patterson. I am a dude, and I'm here with my SUPcast, which is like, what's up, cast, SUPcast. It's pretty simple. It's pretty stupid. I've been doing this program since 2019, and I'm here on the internet via Zoom call with Mr. Daniel Dekay from Ontario, right? Correct?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that
sure.
Checks out.
We met through the boys in Glowstick Willig, but turns out we have a mutual friend in a Mr. John Ublansky from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, who y'all came up together. And so it's a small world after all, Daniel Dekay.
The more you travel, the further you go, the more things you see, the more you realize that the earth is actually only this big, like literally this big. It's like, and if anyone's watching without video, I made a gesture quite petite, very small.
Hello, me.
It's mostly the video thing is what I'm promoting. So hopefully there's a visual element to this.
People are visually impaired.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, we're inclusive here at the SUPcast. So
we're only going to make jokes that require you to be watching the video for them to make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, that's part of our inclusivity. We're nice like that. So what's up, bro? You're everywhere. You're all over the place. And I have questions to ask you about you and what you do and all of that. Where did you just come from? You were somewhere, correct?
I mean, I'm always somewhere is a really good observation. I do exist in a certain place at a certain time always. I just came from, I don't even fucking know, man. I was at Psycho Vegas, and then 12 hours after that finished, I was on a flight to Germany, and we did the last European Exciter shows of the year, which was awesome. Did some German festivals and a show in London, and kind of wrap up the year in Europe because we've done a gajillion Euro gigs, and we were back and forth all through festival season. It was I'm so accustomed to that 9-hour flight now that when there's any flight less than 9 hours, I'm like, oh my God, it's only a 7-hour flight today. That's incredible. And most people be like, what the fuck, 7-hour flight? Nah, man, that shit's fucking, I could do the crossword the whole time. It's hilarious how desensitized you become to long, uncomfortable flights when you're doing them, what was 3 times a month.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a lot. We did a lot of Euro shows this year. So finish that up. We're home for a bit. I'm in and out between here and some stuff going on in the US. I mean, Willitown coming up, and I've got some of my own shit going on and other spots around, and then Exciter's back out in the US before the end of the year. So you caught me at home. It's very rare. My cat is super pissed off at me with how much I've been away this year. So you caught me at home. You caught me on a good day.
That makes sense. Yeah, cats, they need us. Cats.
Yeah, but they're so fucking moody about it though that she's not having it. She's not fucking having it. She's being real standoffish to me this week.
Yeah, because they want you there. They want you to be there at 5 a.m. feeding them.
Yeah, that's all. The best alarm clock in the world is a hungry cat at 5 a.m.
Headbutting you. Yo, so you're in the band Exciter. Now, how long have you been doing that, and how did that come about?
So I'm from the same hometown as those guys. So they, growing up, and you mentioned already Ottawa. That's where I was from originally. I live in Toronto now. Growing up, I mean, they're the hometown heroes. It was like, Canada's got this really cool involvement in the early days of metal, and specifically like speed and thrash. We've got, Razor and Sacrifice and Anvil and Annihilator. And of course, Exciter was from my hometown, as is Annihilator. So like, you'd always go to the bar and hope that you like run into Dan Beeler or something, like, like cool shit. Like they're just like hometown heroes. And Ottawa's not a huge place. So we were, family friends and a lot of mutual friends. And there came a time where, and I knew Dan and his family, growing up, and he knows my family. And in 2018, their original guitar player, John Ricci, retired. And the other two original members wanted to, carry on and continue the legacy. So I like literally messaged the bass player on Facebook, and he thought I was kidding. He didn't think I really wanted to join the band. He was like, "Are you serious? You want to play guitar and Exciter?" And I wrote back like, "Yeah, I'm 1,000,000% serious." And I feel like a couple weeks later, I was just at like my first rehearsal, which it was like my audition was having a phone call with them and talking about, what was up and what was on the books and what they wanted, and, what my needs were. And then we were like rehearsing a set for our first show. Like, like a couple weeks later, it was just or it's as organic as, it could possibly be. It was really cool.
That's lovely when stuff works out like that. Now, they knew you were a guitar player and they were aware of you before the conversation was even had.
Yeah, they were. And, as the story goes, they got a lot of interest from people all over the world, like, because they publicly announced, like, this is like, we're from a small town. So it wasn't just like people in Ottawa who wanted to join the band. It was like they publicly announced that John was leaving the band and they were going to continue. And apparently just like the emails and the direct messages and the, audition videos just like started flooding in from all over the world. And, Dan and Al said that, once I reached out, it was, I was the guy. The conversation was like very short. The conversation was really short. I was into it. They were into it. And it was just, as you say, like, it's lovely when things work out that way, isn't it? The more organic family approach to it. It was fucking awesome. I basically left Ottawa as a teenager to chase a music dream in Toronto to like, 12 years later, just fucking have to be moving back to Ottawa every weekend to rehearse with my band from my original hometown. It's funny how things work.
Absolutely. And well, also you would think you would want to involve someone that you already kind of have a history with, as opposed to just getting a stranger, because like, regardless of ability, there's a million great guitar players out there, but you have to fucking live with this person, And I think since they knew you, that was a big leg up for you.
This is a concept that I, explain to people in so many different contexts. Being on tour with someone is, so much different than, hanging out with them at home or going out for dinner with them or going to the bar or just jamming at the jam space. Like when you're on tour with someone, you're married to them. You're married to 4 people at once, 5 people at once, whatever it may be, however many in your band. Things like, what are we going to eat? What time are we going to eat? Where are we going to stay? What are we going to do? Like these all become like not just easy things. Like these sometimes can become like fucking heated arguments over deciding which truck stop to get a fucking sandwich at.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's almost, I would argue that it's more important to tour with people that you get along with on a real level, and can live with and respect each other and tolerate each other. It's more important to find those people than it is to just hire the first fucking virtuoso you meet on any instrument.
It's true, because I like, even in my band, I play with people that are amazing at their instruments, but not gonna lie, they're kind of cocks, and that shit wears on you when you live with someone for 5 weeks and you have to deal with their shitty attitude. Man, that shit's rough.
Yeah, it's the worst. And I mean, we've all, like, anyone who's been in a band is experienced that. Unfortunately, there's, throughout the years, there's been people I've been on the road with who at the start of the tour, you're like, holy fuck, I can't believe I got such a like-minded, similar, fun person from my city in the band with me. And then like 2 weeks into the tour, it's like every little fucking thing about them makes you want to snap their neck. And it's a very real thing. And it's not the easiest. It's not the easiest being on the road for that long with, in a small, stinky van with that many people.
Yeah, I was just about to say, especially if they smell bad, yo. Because I had this dude. I love this guy. He's one of my best friends, but he had very poor hygiene and he would put his feet up on the cooler that was in between the two front driving seats of the van with no socks on. And he would put his feet right on there, and you could see the dirt underneath his toenails, and you could smell that shit. And I remember we yelled at him. We're like, what are you doing? And he got all offended, all personally offended. Oh, well, you know what? Dude, your feet are nasty. Wash your fucking feet or wear socks and shoes and don't put them up on the goddamn cooler. And that's my story. Anyway.
Yeah, it's fucking vile. I mean, we toured once with a dude who we were on the road. Let's say it was like 2 weeks. Like I didn't see him take his boots off once. So like, it's almost better you get that kind of person who's like fucking nasty and knows it, but wants to keep the smell contained.
Correct.
To the boots, you know? Yeah, that's always preferable. I like people who sleep in their boots.
Yeah, I actually just did a couple dates this weekend. I didn't take my shoes off once, I don't think. So I knew.
That's the best.
So let's get to, okay, so you grew up in Ottawa, and then you're like, I'm going to go to Toronto. I'm going to chase this music dragon. I'm going to make this shit work. Explain your thought process and the decision to do that. How old were you? Like, what was the impetus of that? I'm always interested in hearing about these kind of journeys.
Oh God, it was like so lame. After high school, I went to university, and I was like getting drunk in alleys and shit, like just like skipping class, completely wasting my money, getting like drunk and smoking weed all day, and like occasionally going to class. And like really, when I was there, I was really just thinking about getting drunk and smoking weed anyway. So it was a really huge waste of everyone's time. All parties involved, time was being wasted. So, you know, it only took me about a semester of that to figure out that I was like, all right, let's figure out what we're doing. So I started working for my dad, and like, that was just, you know, it's great. You know, working for your family, it's fucking soul crushing.
Oh yeah.
So, like, all right, we need to do something with life. And I was playing in bands at home. Nothing was happening, like from bedroom bands to like the big local metal band. But like, you know, we were going on like short van tours to the East Coast of Canada, or really ill thought out 5-week US tours where we'd have to like bail on the last week of shows because we had no money and drive, you know, 4 days home straight from Vegas, you know, like all the classic nightmare decisions you make as a young musician. Yeah. So I was doing that and just getting nowhere. Lots of friends and met lots of cool people, but like nothing happened musically, anything concrete. And then I got a call from my buddy CC Diamond in Toronto, and he was like, "Hey man, Diamonds has a 5-week US tour coming up, and we need a bass player. Do you want to audition for bass?" And I was literally at my dad's store, like stocking shelves at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'll be on the bus tomorrow. So I got on the bus with a backpack and auditioned I went just with a backpack. I didn't own a bass rig. I was a guitar player. I auditioned on their bass rig, and I was like, you know, 19 or 20 years old, and I never really moved back. You know, me and my mom talk about it, you know, often. She's like, yeah, you like never really told us you were moving out. You just kind of like left one day and like left all your shit and never came back for it. It was like literally 10 years later, my mom was like, okay, well, like, you know, the kids are gone. I'm downsizing. I'm moving into like, you know, I'm moving into a condo. Like, want to come get like, your bedroom hasn't been touched since high school. Like, it's just there. Like all the clothes, all the instruments, all the shit was just all there.
Wow.
And, I went like I literally filled an entire fucking trailer. We brought the Diamonds van and trailer, and I moved my shit 10 years later. Yeah. I went to Toronto, and I slept on couches and, you know, and just didn't really have a place, but I was in a band, and that's all that mattered. Went on tour for 5 weeks, my first real US tour with festival anchor dates and playing to big crowds and also small crowds, but, you know, doing the thing. And it felt real for the first time, a band with a label and an album, and it was really cool. And I would do that for, you know, the greater chunk of the next 10 years. Basically, I was like, you know, Dekay and Diamonds, and just touring around constantly with them, and eventually stopped living on CC's couch and got my own apartment. And, you know, things kind of snowballed from there. Really. That was like my first real taste of it all, was just moving there, taking a bus taking a bus with a backpack and never going back home. Not once.
I love it. Yeah, you hear so many stories of people doing stuff like that and then not working out, but I like hearing stories. I like hearing all the stories. I like hearing the terrible ones. I like hearing the ones where it's like, yeah, and then I didn't come home for 10 fucking years. Like it's very interesting. Everyone that decides to do something creative has a totally different journey. And that's why when people ask me shit like, hey, how do you do this or XYZ in the music industry? It's like, dude, if I knew, I would tell you, but everyone gets there differently, you know?
Yeah, it was like, I mean, you could look at it now and be like, oh, wow, like that was a success story. I'm glad it worked out for you. But like, dude, at the time it was like so ill-advised. I was like, like I was paying like a couple $100 a month to rent Cece's living room, essentially. Like I was living on a futon in his living room and the couch. And at first it was free. Then he's like, I got to charge you some money, you know, because I was eating all his groceries. Like I was like signing up for credit cards and going to ATMs and taking out the balance of the credit card and then cutting the credit card in half and just having like $600 cash and be like, yeah, you know, like not thinking of consequences in any way, shape or form. Eating like, you know, getting invited to shows, going backstage, filling Priya's purse with leftover fruit, vegetables and chips and eating that for a week. Like it was really like, you know, there were some struggles, but I was so young that I thought that was like, this is it. I'm eating fucking chips from goddamn Steel Panther's dressing room. Like, this is it, baby. I'm doing it. So yeah, it wasn't easy. I look back at some of the things I did and some of the places I slept and I'm like, man, I could never pull this shit off if I was this age. I was happy that, you know, I had all the bright optimism of a 20-year-old when this was all going on.
Yeah, because if you weren't that age, and if you were, you know, I'm 41 now, and you're probably in your 30s, right?
Yeah, I'm 31.
Yeah, okay. So, you're a baby. So, but either way, yeah, when you're in your 20s, you're living in filth. Your surroundings are disgusting, but you don't care because you're doing the thing you want to do. You're not working for your parents. You're not working for the family business. You're living the adventure or living the dream, they say sometimes. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It scared the shit out of my parents. Holy fuck. Like my dad was like a rocker. So he was like trying to be cool with it. But like, I could tell he was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, how are you paying your bills? And my mom was just having none of it. She was scared shitless, like constantly expressing concern. Like, what the fuck are you even doing out there? Like, who do you live with? Who is taking care of you? Like, what is going on? I'm like, Mom, don't worry about it. I'm a rock star. It's fine. In this band. She's like, yeah, your band, like it looks like you played to 4 people in Columbus last night. Like, what is going on, Daniel? Are you okay? So there were, you know, it was funny, and I wouldn't trade the experience for anything though, man. It was really greasy and really fun, and I learned a lot about myself and my limits, and you know, I could never pull that shit off today. Holy fuck! Like I used to sleep, you know, in the trunk of a van with another person, you know, curled up in my boots and my jacket, using like the plastic siding of the car as a pillow. And like now, if I don't have like my 3 pillows perfectly positioned in my bed today, and I'll wake up with like a thrown out back tomorrow. Like it's really like the things you're able to put your body through at that age. Like you're fucking invincible mentally and physically. Like nothing can ruin you.
Yeah, and it's beautiful because you don't realize that life is like that until you get to the point where you're in your 30s, where you throw your back out for the first time, where you start to have to kind of take care of yourself. You're not invincible. And then you look back and you're like, wow, I used to be invincible. And it sneaks up on you, man.
It feels like my entire life is made of kryptonite now. Like back then I was fucking Superman. Though it's just everything hurts now. I tweaked my neck earlier today doing literally nothing. I was sitting in this chair and I looked that way and I'm like, oh fuck, I tweaked my neck.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
No idea why.
Yeah, and it makes sense why GNR, when they were doing like the Use Your Illusion tour, they had on-site massage therapists. And like they were doing all of those fucking arena dates, and you look at Slash and Axl's running around in the spandex, and they're fucking superheroes. But it's dude, they pay to have their bodies worked on every single day so they could run around in that spandex. You know, we don't have that. We don't have afforded the luxury of in-house massage therapist. It would be nice.
Dude, sometimes we play a festival now with Exciter where there's like a masseuse on site, like the big ones. Like if you play like the Hellfests and the Grass Pops, there'll be like masseuses backstage. Like most of the guys in like the bigger bands that do the festivals every fucking weekend during festival season, like they're not the ones lining up for that masseuse. Like I'm the first guy in line. I'm like, is there a masseuse at this festival? Like, where is that? And it's free. They're like, yeah, you can tip them if you want. I'm like, yeah, it's free. Like I'm in line for that massage. Like it's a priority.
Yeah, and it feels amazing. I got a massage when I was in Mexico, and my girlfriend bought it for me for a present. And this woman was digging her elbow into me in a way that was the most painful yet relieving afterwards thing ever. It's a beautiful practice. I think everyone should do body work.
It hurts
so good.
Yeah, it hurts so good. It's funny. The first time I got a massage, I didn't realize it the next day. Like shit's gonna hurt. And the next day I woke up and I'm like, oh my God, I could barely move my back. This is bullshit. This masseuse fucked me up. And then like 12 hours later, I was like, yeah, baby, let's go.
Yeah, you're all limber. Yeah, because you like your body stores all of that stress and shit into these muscular areas in your back and whatnot. And when someone puts their elbow in it, it releases all of that bad juju into your body. And you kind of have to like drink water. It takes a day or so for sure. So let's go.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so you were at Psycho, and I have to mention this. I have to make sure I ask you this in the podcast. You interviewed King fucking Diamond. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it was. It really was awesome. I was the only person who interviewed King Diamond at Psycho. It was Merciful Fate's first American show in 23 years. Wow. It's like what do they call that? An exclusive. So I had like an exclusive with King Diamond in his dressing room after the show. But like, here's the full context of that incredible interview, which was, by the way, King Diamond is the shit. He is the coolest. He stood around for over an hour after the show, talking to everyone, taking photos with everyone, doing my interview, doing the thing, like after playing a headline set. Like, dude is timeless. He's ageless. It's unreal. Like Satan is totally taking care of him. And the full context though of like, this incredible interview is that it's on my 5th night in Las Vegas. And like, I'm not trying to go hard. I'm not trying to ruin myself, but like you're in Vegas. So like, it's really easy to not know what time it is. It's really easy to overdrink. It's really easy you're at a music festival. You're yelling constantly over the noise around you, casinos and bands. Like it came to that 5th day. And like, bro, I woke up at 10 a.m. and I was like, I have to interview King Diamond at what time tonight? And I checked the date and it's like midnight. I'm like, oh my God, like I just want to sleep all day. So I got as much rest as I could, but like dead. Like I was dead all day. I was watching the Merciful Fate show and they're playing like my favorite songs. They're playing like an all old school set. And I'm just like, I could bear like, I'm standing like in the back and I'm like just watching and everyone around me screaming the words and arms in the air and they're like grabbing me. And I'm just like, yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Hell yeah, man. I've been waiting my whole life to watch this show and this is my reaction. It's super genuine, I promise. And dude, I was like, my voice was shot. Everything hurt. And then like, of course I walk into the room with King Diamond and it's like, go into fucking high energy mode. But yeah, that was rough, man. That was like my final interview of the weekend. I was interviewing bands all weekend. And like the big one, of course, has to be at midnight on day 5. That was very trying, but I'm happy I did it. It was my first time seeing Merciful Fate, my first time meeting King Diamond, and he's the fucking coolest. He is so goddamn cool. We talked. The camera stopped rolling. You even see in the interview, he says, oh, if I tell you on camera, like I can't, I'll tell you off camera. You'll blow your mind. And he told me a bunch of shit off camera that he has coming up with Merciful Fate and King Diamond, stage shows and new music and all this other cool shit going on behind the scenes. Like, he's a real one, man. That guy's fucking awesome.
Did he quit smoking cigarettes?
I mean, I didn't see him hacking any darts. I imagine if he just got off stage and he was a cigarette smoker, he'd be wanting to be smoking a cigarette, but I didn't see him smoking. So yeah, I should have asked him that.
Yeah, I saw an interview with him some years back where he was talking about he had a massive heart attack. He said he was on his deathbed. And he decided to quit smoking after that. A part of me thinks with his longevity, and he's got to be in his 60s, right?
He's in his 60s, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think he stuck to that. And that's, like you said, Satan's taking care of this man. But I saw him.
Dude, he's fully like possessed by a dark spirit that can like is ageless. I'm telling you, like it's insane. He has not lost his voice. He has not lost his stage presence. He has not lost any energy. Like, dude, it was like mind blowing to watch him do his thing and then stand around for over an hour and socialize with everyone and everyone taking photos and like, yeah, like just like it's incredible. It's wild, dude.
That's inspiring shit, because there are times where I wake up and, you know, I'm gigging hard and I'm beating the shit out of myself. And I'm like, man, how do people do this into their 60s? And I think what it comes from is the passion and the love that some of these performers have for it. It's like they just do. They just like the music makes them alive. Like even Ozzy walks around, he hobbles around, but then when he gets on stage, he literally like just comes alive. And it's so inspiring to see these older performers just still killing it, just bringing it, because it gives you the inspiration to keep going, you know?
Yeah, that's serious. It's like those are our dark lords, man. I'm telling you, Satan's taking care of them. That's what it is.
That's beautiful. I like that you said hack a dart, because that's a Canadian saying. Yablansky actually brought that to my attention.
There's even a more Canadian, like hack a dart's pretty Canadian, but like really like East Coast Canada, they'll say like, got any cuts? You got cuts? Got cuts? Give me a cut. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard that. That's new.
Yeah. It's a bum a fag, right? You know, it's just like very regional. It means something completely different somewhere else, right?
How dare you say that word on my program? I'm offended. Anyway, so we're doing it. We're doing the thing. So somehow you went from being bass player, metal dude for Diamonds, right? Now explain to me.
Yeah, then graduated to guitar, like, you know, bands, right? People coming and going. It's like, hey, it's graduated to 6 strings now. Like just, you know, the natural progression of things, right?
I like that. But somehow you became a media personality. Now I'm very curious as to what was the trajectory like going from being just band dude, touring guy, to all of a sudden you're in front of the camera, you're doing interviews, you're doing the Twitch thing. Like, how did that happen? Was it a slow burn into it, or was it like something that just fell on your lap? Explain.
It's something that I was always into. I've always like enjoyed being a presenter and like a larger than life personality as like kind of me. Like, you know, whether the cameras are rolling or not, I always like just kind of look at life as a stage. And I know that might sound like a little ridiculous, but it's truly like how I've been my whole life. I mean, I'd be like 5 years old, like choreographing fucking dances and like using a tennis racket as a guitar and a broomstick or whatever, like to AC/DC records and Kiss records, and like power sliding off my couch and shit. And just like, mom, dad, like, look at this. And they're like, yeah, you do your homework. Like, what's going on here, man? It's like, you know, like it was just like I've always kind of like been into the idea of performance and presenting and personality and just like, oh, everything over the top all the time. It's kind of been my life. And it had to be in 2015, maybe 2015, 2016. I got a call from BangerTV, which is Sam Dunn's company, and whom I was a huge fan of because of his music documentaries, and Metal Headbanger's journey was so important in my journey as a headbanger. And of course, you know, the Maiden docs and the Rush docs and everything. I was like a huge fan, and I knew he was local. He had a local band. I knew he was around here, and, you know, I was just stoked to hear from him. And, you know, the producer wanted me to come be a guest on one of their live programs, to be a specialist on thrash, like a one-time shot, 1 hour live on YouTube, talking about thrash metal with Sam Dunn, you know, reworking the family tree of thrash metal, getting nerdy and shit. And I fucking loved it. I loved it. I did a lot of research. I prepared myself. I loved it. The episode got tons of views, one of the most viewed episodes from that series. And like a week later, I got an email from the producer saying, we have lots of guests. Some are good and some are great. And you were great. And we'd like to wonder if you want to be a co-host on this show and, you know, do our band interviews. And, you know, from there, I'd never really done interviews before. Like I could present, like I could talk about things I'm passionate about. I think I had that skill on lock, but I'd never interviewed someone before. So, really thankful to the producer there, Lisa Ladisser, who's a media legend and a personality and an author and just really overall like talented human being. And she coached me from my first awkward ass interviews to now, doing exclusives with King Diamond and Slash and whoever the fuck will talk to me. She coached me from like being really nervous about it to like, I just want to sit down with my favorite bands in the world and drink beers with them and talk, shoot the shit. And, from there, it just kind of, Banger was the first company that put their trust in me, and, people started to notice. And, now I'm happy to say I work for some incredible, variety of media companies and do my own stuff on Twitch. And, it's only more recently that's been a part of my life, since 2015, and more recently since the pandemic is when I started Twitch. But this concept of being a personality and presenting and hosting and putting yourself out there and being in front of cameras, like this is something I've always, like there was in Diamonds, like I was 20 years old and there'd be a power struggle. I'd be like talking on the mic over the lead singer. Yeah. Like I've always wanted the voice, it's like, it's always kind of been part of my personality. So, it's only in recent years I've had success with it and kind of done it on a bigger level, but it's always something that's been inside of me.
Dude, okay, so I used to wear a white Michael Jackson glove in the 80s when I was a kid, and I would have my parents film me trying to do Michael Jackson moves. So yeah, everything you just said, yeah, I want eyes on me. I want to be on the microphone. Yeah, people can't speak over me on stage because I'm speaking too fucking much. Like that's a thing. So I appreciate, man, yeah, the world is a stage, man. And I want eyes on me. It's true. It's a thing. I love it.
I knew this about you as soon as I met you.
It's a thing. 100%. To my discredit, even sometimes and that's what I learned a lot with this podcast is I need to sit there and listen to people fucking talk instead of like interject and be like, oh, this is my thing. This is which is essentially what I'm doing right now. But I think we got a good back and forth going. But okay, so this is my question. You're interviewing your heroes. What is the moment where you were the most nervous? Was it King Diamond, or were you too haggard, or was it Slash? What was it?
I was really visibly unwell the day of the King Diamond interview. I had a lot of stress in my body. I had some people who know me really well were around me that weekend. It was like, big, like Blaine was there and one of my best friends was there, Blaine from Banger, and people who know me on a day-to-day basis in the way I normally am. And they looked at me that day. They're like, bro, you're green. Like you're like literally look like you're going to puke all day. Like are you all right? And I was like, I wasn't talking to anyone. I was like, literally just like, I was visibly full of stress and anxiety about that King Diamond one. But that was for a variety of reasons. I just told you I was fucking haggard, man. Like it was rough. I had like one of the biggest interviews of my life and I'm like, my fucking voice is gone. So, there were other reasons I was stressed, but I got to say, man, I interviewed Alexi Leho early on in my Banger, tenure. I interviewed Alexi in person. Children of Bodom was in town. And I was really nervous for that one because I'm a big fan. Like the kind of nervous when you're like choking on your own spit in your own tongue, like and you're like words are coming out sounding really weird. Like I was fucking nervous. So that one was, that was early on, but for my confidence in talking to artists, I got to say like pandemic style interviews on Zoom like this, like it became super popular during that era, really helped me because I talked to like 50 artists on Zoom throughout the pandemic. So like KK Downing from Judas Priest, any as big as you could get because they no longer had to be in town with their band and grant you access to an interview like it traditionally was. It was like anyone who has their cell phone in front of them or anyone who has a computer and a webcam in front of them can do an interview or a podcast now. So that really helped me get over some nervousness because, still like, dude, I interviewed Slash in person towards the end of, the end of last year. And I was fucking it was nerve wracking. I was nervous about that one. And that's already deep into my interviewing. It's hard not to get nervous when you're talking to someone about a body of work that you've worshipped your entire life. Because you want them to know you're a fan. You don't want them to just think you're some like dickhead fucking journalist. You want them to know you're a fan. You want them to know that you know your shit. You don't want to be too punishing. And, it's all like very calculated. How am I I've got a half an hour with Slash. How am I going to make it the best half hour ever? So, I still get nervous before big ones. That's for sure, man. And I thrive under pressure though. So the stress is sometimes good for me.
I will say, because of the pandemic and because of doing interviews, this remote stuff, and also because of watching people's content, I feel like a lot of these figures, especially nowadays, you feel like you already know them before you even turn the camera on. And if I'm talking to a public figure, like say, like you and I talked at last year's Willig Town or something, but if I'm aware of someone's content and then I pull it up on a Zoom call, I feel like I already know the motherfucker. It's kind of interesting like that. And yeah, the whole being in person thing doesn't even exist with this kind of stuff. It just feels like I'm hanging out in my house. It's like pretty chill.
And 100%. And that's like the Zoom interviews like really helped me get comfortable in a way talking and doing longer interviews too. Like, dude, when I started doing interviews, it was like, all right, you're talking to Troy from Mastodon and you have 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like like that used to be the norm.
Yeah.
And there'd be a fucking press agent standing behind them going like this, or like 5 minutes, like all that shit. Like that was so real. And it was like tense and in the moment. Now it's like so normal to get an artist of any size for an hour. I can ask anyone for an hour and they'll say yes. It's like, hey, I want to have Rob Halford on my show. What's the format of your show? Oh, it's an hour-long podcast. Cool. What? Like, let's sign, lock it in. Like, it's so podcast culture and Zoom call culture has really helped the whole interview thing. It's so much easier to talk to people for longer. Like, before you had 15 minutes, you could barely break the fucking ice unless you're a really good interviewer. You ask 2 questions about the new album, 1 legacy question, 1 tour question, bang, it's over.
Right.
So, like now I really like that the game has changed massively because of it. The hour-long thing. It's so normal now. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, because it's usually like questions about your career, questions about like what you said, legacy stuff. But the best is when fucking artists start talking to you about their daddy issues and their alcoholism, and you're like, oh, we're there now. Like we're where we're where we are, where I wanted to be.
During the pandemic, I did an interview with Corpse Grinder. There was a new Cannibal Corpse album, so I had Corpse Grinder on, and we talked for 2 hours. It was supposed to be 45 minutes or an hour. We talked for 2 hours filming it like this, and then talked for an additional 2.5 hours where he's like, you're not recording this, right? So we stopped recording it, and it was like 2.5 more hours. And like his wife came by, and like we were having dinner. Like we ordered food, and like they're eating, I'm eating. It was like we're just talking shit, talking about everything, shit, triumphs, and everything in between. So it's changed the game completely. It's been the whole like podcast, like it's like so widely accepted now. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and who would have ever thought? Because I'm going to tell you a little secret, and she doesn't like for me to say this, but my girlfriend, she was on one of the early episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience when like the first year they did it, because she used to do stand up out in LA, and she doesn't brag about it. She doesn't text people the link to the episode, but that was like, she was on the precipice of something that was so new at the time. Like Joe Rogan, just like, I'm Joe Rogan. Let's just like talk for 3 hours and put it up on Ustream. Like, and she was a part of that because the guy she was dating at the time was actually the producer of the show at the time. So she was like ground level, year 1 of 10, like watching the birth of this media juggernaut. And she was like on the show. So that shit just blows my mind because that was a decade ago. And now, I mean, like his shit is the #1 podcast in the world, however many million downloads a week. It's mind blowing. Everything's changed.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's it's crazy. Even in the short time I've been an interviewer, like just watching had the style change completely. Like I'm now like getting into some more like festival interviewing experiences. So like my crazy first one was Banger took me on the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise, and I was like literally interviewing 10 to 12 artists a day. If you look at my like recap videos from the festival, all the footage is from nighttime because during the day I was like holed up in a library talking to artists, have like 15 minutes between interviews to like researching artists I'd never fucking heard of. It's a festival. Like, you know, there's bands of all sizes. Like, of course, I'm super prepared for the Destruction interview, and I'm like super prepared for the Sepultura interview. But like, you know, then you're talking to like some, you know, Euro power metal band that I didn't even know they existed. And it's like, all right, they're going to be here in 15 minutes, and it's the guitar player and the lead singer. So like, you ready? And I'm like, you know, like making notes, and like, it's just like a whole other skill set, man. I was like, I remember that trip being a lot of like trial by fire, like learning really quick. It's like, all right, you don't get 3 hours to put an interview together. Like, put that shit together. Let's go.
Man, I love it.
So I wanted to touch on, you said something really interesting earlier, and I spent the last 5 minutes trying to remember what it was so I could make a point to it.
Yeah, say what's up.
You said that when, and I've this whole time I've just been stalling to remember what it was because it was good. You said that when you get in an interview with someone, if you already have consumed their content or done enough research that they're a public enough person, you feel like you already know them.
Correct.
And I want to swing it back to this amazing producer who taught me everything I know about interviews, Lisa Ladisser, Banger. She told me a quote that I take with me everywhere with interviews. And it's, a good interviewer only asks questions that they already know the answers to.
That's interesting. But
it's a very fucking good piece of advice.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ruminate on that for a minute, because there's things that I don't know about these people that I want to know. So if I were to just adhere to that, then I would be, I don't know. I think I would selfishly, I would get kind of bored. Go ahead.
You have to use it to your advantage of the overall end goal of the interview, though. If there's things that you want to know that you don't know the answers to, you have to break the ice by setting it up, by asking the questions that you know will get answered a certain way to guide it into that. Like, you gotta like use, like, knowledge is power in interviews, and things you can find in advance and the research you do in advance can really help make the artist feel comfortable in then telling you about their daddy issues and their alcoholism, and you know, the thing they're not supposed to tell you about the new label they're signing with and the album and who really played bass on the album, like all the shit like that, right?
Okay, that's good, man. Well, I usually listen back to these conversations like as I'm editing them, so I think, and what I like about the podcast thing too is there's always little nuggets that stick with me, and I take it with me in my journey, and I think I appreciate you saying that. And so, Metal Headbangers Journey, that's the Banger people.
Yeah, so that's like the first documentary that like puts them on the map as a film production company.
Oh, okay. It's all making sense now, because that doc, and then you said some of the Iron Maiden docs. Yeah,
so Flight 666 is a Banger production, and Beneath the Light Stage, the Rush documentary, and on the newer front they did ZZ Top, Super Duper Alice Cooper. You know, they did the new Triumph documentary. There's all sorts of all sorts of projects. Yeah, Canada.
Canadian power trio.
Three pieces with singing drummers, baby.
I love it. Fight the good fight. That's my jam. But okay, yeah. So Banger's a Canadian company.
Yeah, based here in Toronto.
Okay, and what about knotfest? So you do some work for them, right?
Yeah, so knotfest is really cool, and that was like a thing that I started doing during the pandemic. They asked me to host a Twitch show for them because I was like fucking, you know, lining them up and shooting them down on Twitch. I was like having a really good run on Twitch. I gravitated towards the platform. It's a platform where only you're talking. Like, think about that.
Yeah,
I'm talking for 5 hours. Everyone else is typing. Like, that's a dream for people like us. Like, no one can. And if I don't like what someone says, I just fucking skip it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it's a perfect fucking platform to connect with people. So I was loving it there. They approached me because they found me through that. And it really just, it spiraled into things as things opened up. They started flying me out to events. Knotfest is of course affiliated with Slipknot. It's their festival and their multimedia company. And knotfest.com is, you know, a music news site, and so much more. and started doing stuff in person with them. It was them I was working with at Psycho. Got to do some like really cool like knotfest festival. They brought me out to Iowa for a Slipknot hometown show with 30,000 fucking people in a cornfield. It was insane. They brought me to LA for like a giant open air stadium show. Like just like really, I do really cool shit with them. I'm gonna be out at with them in Sacramento at there's a festival, a big rock festival coming up, Aftershock in Sacramento. I'm going to be out with them doing interviews at that coming up in a few weeks. They're awesome. They're a really, really great company. And it's just what I do with them is predominantly artist interviews. They trusted me with like, I've done 2 members from Slipknot now in 2-hour formats. Like they really just trust me like to like sit down with their biggest guys. And they gave me a one-on-one with Dave Mustaine. We talked for an hour a couple weeks ago. I was like the management sanctioned interview for the new album drop. Like they put a lot of trust in me to talk, King Diamond, like literally they literally are, they really trust me to do whatever I propose to them. And their biggest artists, they trust me to go in there for an hour or 2 hours with them. It's very fucking cool, man.
Well, congrats, man. I love hearing shit like this, dude, because like you see people doing the things that you kind of want to be doing. But what I've noticed is the older I get, instead of me being all salty, being like, oh, I want to be doing that kind of stuff, like I'm just like, wow, that's cool. Because I'm friends with people that do amazing shit, and seeing like just witnessing the amazing shit that you're doing, I'm like, that's what's up, dude. And yeah, I don't know. You become less salty over the years, or you get more salty. I know some old timers from some old punk bands that I've toured with that are the most bitter fucks ever. So negative and just hating on. I remember the Dead Kennedys are just pissed off at us because we blew them off stage in 1984. It's like, do you think they think about that shit? It's you know what I mean. So it's either one or the other. I'm becoming less bitter. I'm happy for people when they do cool shit. I love that. Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm bitter, but there is a part of me like my schedule is quite intense. Like with all the, I'm like cast in fucking 100 different ponds, right?
Yeah.
Like it gets a lot, but like I'll still see like someone or a band or a media personality like do something, and I'll be like, well, why aren't like I should be doing that? And I'll like, I'll try like it, like I use it to like fuel a fire. Where it's like, well, I've got time to do one more hustle. Like I could totally add that to my repertoire. Like I should be doing that, and I should get on board with that. And I'm constantly biting off more, whether or not I can chew it, for better or for worse. I really fucking love being busy, and I thrive under stress and pressure. And, man, I just want to do everything all the time. I like being over the top. I like being busy. I just want to do it all. There's nothing I don't want to try. I really want to just try it all.
So you like the more cool shit you see people doing, that inspires you to maybe I'll do that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember
it like starts a fire inside of me. It really gets me going.
That's good. And that's a productive way to look at things. Because I remember I read a book about the 2 Minneapolis bands, and one of them was The Replacements and the other was Husker Du. And The Replacements are like, we're going to do this double album. And they had like a friendly rivalry going on. So Minutemen, they're like, wait, was it Minutemen? Yeah. Okay. Minutemen in California and Husker Du in Minneapolis, they're on the same record label. Husker Du's like, we're going to put out a double album. And Minutemen are like, okay, well, we have to put out a double album as well. And they ended up putting out Double Nickels on the Dime, which is like, it's like bar none, a classic SST release for that Southern California hardcore punk stuff, even though it's more like a jazz funk thing. But yeah, to be inspired and have there be like a healthy kind of competition as opposed to a jealousy thing is big time.
It's great. I mean, to let your peers inspire you. And side note, I've been saying Husker Du wrong my entire life, haven't I? It's the umlauts make it Husker Du.
Husker Du, correct.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been saying Husker my entire life. Awesome. Good. Neil, I'm learning new things every day. Thank you.
Yeah, we learn from each other. And the only reason I know it's Husker Du is because I've just watched enough old punkers say it that way in interviews and shit. I don't know anything about an umlaut.
It's literally umlauts on the use, but like Motley Crue kind of ruined that for me. Like I don't even know if you're supposed to pronounce them anymore. I don't get it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they should have had a little instruction manual in their records or something about the umlaut and the pronunciation. So bro,
insert in the album.
Okay. So pandemic happens and everything shuts down. And now, did you see friends you knew doing the Twitch thing and you're like, I'm gonna hop on that? Was it that kind of thing? Or were you doing
life was awful.
Life was awful. Yeah,
life was terrible. There was like in Canada, they were giving us some money. Like if you qualified for money, you could get like money from the government because they told you couldn't work.
Same.
So I was working in a kitchen. That's been like what I do. What I was doing is like my off tour job, my entire, life after moving to Toronto. I washed dishes and then worked on, desserts and cold stuff. And then by the end of it, I was like a fucking chef working grills and, making food I couldn't afford. Everything sucked. I lost my cooking job and I had like 100 shows booked with Exciter that were going to be the biggest shows in my life. I'd never played like open air European festivals like that. I'd never played for those size of crowds or done anything that cool. And it all got canceled. And then the money ran out from the government. So I was fucked. And I was like, how am I going to pay my rent? I was freaking out. I got on Twitch. My buddy Blaine had been doing Twitch for a couple years and was like, yeah, man, it's a great way to supplement your income. You can make like $200 a month. It's great. It's great. It's great. And then, I had a buddy, Jeff, who like came over and like gave me a webcam and set me up on like this 9-year-old MacBook that I had. And, my stream kind of fucking blew up. The laptop melted, the 9-year-old MacBook, like it was like 12 frames per second, just fucking melted one day. And it was like, okay, like the income from this is good, but like, I don't know if I should really be investing like $1,000 into a computer and lights and cameras and all on the mics. But someone told me, they're like, dude, just do it and watch it grow. So I did it. And like overnight, once I upgraded the quality, it was like overnight. I was like streaming to 10,000 unique viewers a night is like more people than I had played to in my entire life in bars. It was crazy. The numbers of eyes that were on me and the way that the way that Twitch worked was, you connect directly with the fans. They can support you directly. So like if they're throwing down $5, you get 250 of it, and it's a monthly subscription. And I was like, wow, like these 250s are really adding up. And then next thing you know, you've got like 1,000 subscribers, 2,000 subscribers. I'm like, holy shit, this is like real income. Like, and I just kind of shifted all my efforts into that for the greater majority of the 2 years of pandemic. I was streaming at 40 hours a week. It was my full-time job, singing songs, playing music, talking shit, watching videos, hanging out with people.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It's crazy, dude. It like fucking like it exploded. To the point where, again, my concerned mother didn't believe me. She's like, well, how are you like, should I send you a gift certificate for the grocery store? Like, how are you affording food right now? I'm like, oh, I'm on my live stream. And she would like pop into my live stream and be like, hi. And I'm like, yeah, like, do you see, like, look how many hundreds of people are here right now, Mom. Like, this is a thing. It's real. She's like, oh, this is cute. I'm like, oh. Like, she just, it was crazy, man. It really, Twitch changed my life. 100%. There's no doubt about it. I never went back to my cooking job. Here we are almost 3 years later. I never went back to my cooking job. Twitch changed my life. I still stream 4 times a week when I'm not on tour. It was a game changer for me, man. It was, and I love that I had friends around me that pushed me to do it. And, I had really good support system from friends I met on Twitch who were like, you're good at this, do more of it. You're good at this, do more of it. And, it was really good. It gave me a reason to keep my chops up too during the pandemic. I had like no shows booked. I couldn't pick up a guitar. I had zero interest, no creativity, no purpose. I was like, what the fuck? Fuck this. It's fucking stupid. What am I going to do? Practice a set for a band that I don't know if it's ever going to play again? Like, fuck. And I was real bummed. All my shows got canceled, but hey, made up all those shows this year, made hundreds of new friends on Twitch, people that like literally hundreds of people that I'll keep in touch with for the rest of my life. Like really, really life-changing in every sense of it. Mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually, life-changing. It's been the best.
Thank you, Jeff Bezos. It's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
So check this out. Everyone should hear this. And if you're watching this and you already give Jeff Bezos some of your money, here's how you can stick it to the man. If you pay for Amazon Prime anything, Prime shipping, Prime gaming, Prime video, Prime whatever, they give you a free subscription to Twitch every month. And you can go to my channel and subscribe for free. $0 to you. You've already paid for it every month, and they don't tell you about it. But you can use it for free, and then Jeff Bezos has to give me $2.50. It costs you $0, costs him $2.50. Let's ruin them $2.50 at a time. Give me your Prime subscription on Twitch, twitch.tv/Daniel_DK.
Man, I love it. Take that, Bezos. I love it.
Take that, Bezos. Fucking bankrupt that guy $2.50 at a time. I'm telling you.
We're going to get
Bezos.
Bezos bucks. Yeah, that's what Hassan says on his stream. They calls it Bezos bucks. But
love it.
Okay, cool. Well, we got about 5 minutes left. Yeah, back to the whole inspiration instead of like being like, oh, why is this person doing this? But I'm really glad we had this conversation because you have like a really positive attitude and you're a really down to earth dude. And I'm stoked because I feel like, I don't know, I'm just stoked. You got me feeling stoked, bro.
I mean, I try to always be stoked all the time because there's no other way to be. I think that to a fault, I use the word stoked too often. It's not a great thing to include in work emails. Stoked about this, really stoked for everything, stoked to see ya. But I can't deny it's how I feel, man. I'm fucking stoked. And, I've had nothing but respect for you since I met you. We've got an old school friend, a guy I literally grew up with, a guy that I knew since I was like 5 years old, basically. Ottawa's not a big place. So we hung out a lot when we were younger. And, I knew like just between having an old school friend and your energy and your attitude and watching you play at Willitown, like all that shit, I just knew we were going to be pals. And I've been keeping up with what you do with DTB as well. Like, it's fucking, you're a hell of a dude. And I appreciate you beyond the meaning of the word, man. You rule.
Well, you rule too, man. Yeah, and Yablansky, he's a good friend of mine and a good sounding board as well. Because we spent a lot of time in the van together, and that dude talks. Like, I thought I talked a lot. That dude takes the cherry cake pie, whatever you want to call it, crown talker, king talk. But yeah. I love that dude, and I think he's an amazing musician, and he's like a really, is the word pragmatic or no, he's logical. I'm emotional. He's logical. So I bounce a lot of ideas off him, and yeah, it's good to know, like Canadians. And he taught me stuff about hacking darts, and he took me for poutine once. And yeah, I remember we pulled up to the Dom, and Downtown Brown was on tour, and he had contacted our management and got us the gig. And I pulled up to the Dom in downtown Ottawa, and he's standing there smoking a cigarette. And I was on a bunch of painkillers at the time. I hopped out of the van and I immediately was like, hey, can I have a cigarette? But I didn't know that was the guy that was going to be in my band. That was the guy that I was going to talk to on FaceTime all the time. But the first dude I asked for a smoke is John Yablansky. And he ended up being the guy. I ended up living with the guy essentially for like a whole year. Crazy stuff. Life. Yeah, the world is tiny.
Great. Hell of a bass player.
Fucking A, he's crazy. Yeah, I remember you were like, we lost a metalhead to some weird funk shit, and that was like how, because Yablansky.
He was like, he was too good to be a metalhead. Dude would be jamming like Metallica songs together, and like he was huge. Like his favorite band was Blink-182 when we were in high school. Like we were like all into like this like simple music together. Then out of nowhere, he's like, by the way, I'm the best bass player and only play PRS guitars. What up? I'm like, wow, you really like graduated to jam band, dude, real quick. And yeah, I watch his content now. Like he's sickly good, like sickly fucking good musician. It's unreal. Like Johnny U is a fucking insane musician, a great dude and a fucking wild musician.
Yeah, he and I are going to be collaborating on some collaborative, what do you call it? Remote music. Cause I got this new project where it's like a collective and he's part of the collective. So it's like, it's me and like 10 other weirdos and we're going to make the stupidest, weirdest music possible. So he's definitely going to be lending some of his bass to some of that shit. So I'm stoked. But, okay, it's 3:57. We've been live for 59 minutes and 41 seconds. Is there anything you want to plug before I... No, this is not live. I'm recording it on OBS.
We've been live. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was like, oh man, I tell my mom to tune in for all these stories about her.
No, we are live on my MacBook. Essentially, we are live. So an audience of two. And yeah, anything you want to plug? I think we talked about all the stuff, but if you want to just like roll through it real quick, I know you got. What's that?
Yeah, it's like come see me on tour. Come see me on tour. I'm an Exciter. We got, US dates and play a ton in Europe. Lots of big festivals coming up for next year. Full scale US tour. We're doing just, a couple dates here and there, Detroit, Chicago, and fucking some SoCal stuff before the end of the year. Watch my Twitch show. I stream 4 times a week. It's literally just guitar playing and shit talking. Everything from like 70s rock and roll and 80s thrash to like fucking Daft Punk and goddamn whatever I feel like playing. It's just like a no rules kind of thing. If you like sleazy air metal or fucking death metal or anything in between, there will be something for you. And just, if you see me on social media, like whether it be the fucking talk ticks or the fucking Instagrams or whatever, like just fucking toss a follow, say what up. I try and be good at that stuff as best I can in between writing emails where I tell people I'm stoked about stuff. So, I mean, that's me in a nutshell. And I appreciate you having me on your show. Neil, I think you're a great dude. And this has been a lot of fun. Not all these are so much fun. This is fun. I love
Let's
talking
have fun.
to you for an
Yeah,
hour. This is great.
It's what you said when you're like, I just want to drink beer and hang out with musicians that I like. I mean, that's all the show is, except sometimes we get on some, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm on Zoloft and like, let's talk about our fucking trauma and shit. But it gets into that territory, which I don't mind, but I like the interviews where it's just like positive and we're bouncing and talking about life and stoked, It's like, this is the thing, back to the stoked thing. Steve-O says, yeah, dude. Like maybe stoked is your yeah, dude, The jackass guy?
It could be. This is Kitten.
Hello, Kitten. Oh, what a baby. I love my cats.
That's my Steve-O. That's my Steve-O line. Dude, what's this tattoo say on his back? Dude, I rule.
Yeah, something like that. His podcast is amazing because he's, I forget how many years, but he's been in recovery and he's gone through all the 12 steps and he's totally sober, and his interviews are, you wouldn't think that Steve-O would have like a thoughtful, deep podcast where he's talking about like real ass shit with all of these people, but it's inspiring, man, especially being a sober guy myself, 14 years, no booze. I wish I could drink, but I can't stop. So I stopped.
He's a crazy recovery story, like really inspiring character. He went from like poo-poo humor and broken bones to like really like great activism work and really, really thoughtful and deep conversations. His Hot Ones episode is maybe the best that series has ever had of a guest. And I watch a lot of his stuff now. He's a fucking inspiring character. Like just proof that like you can do anything you want in life. Anything. You can make a career out of fucking breaking your bones and being so fucking high and drunk and ruining your body for entertainment. And then you could also be the guy that like dangerously climbs insanely high cranes and pops out an inflatable dolphin to like protest SeaWorld. Like, that's the same person. It's really, really wild. He's an incredible character.
And you got to love that. You got to respect that. You don't have to like ICP's music, but you got to respect their hustle.
Hey man, Shaggy 2 Dope's the shit.
That's what I'm saying, bro. All right, I gotta let you go. I gotta go do a session, and I'll let you know when this goes live. Thank you, Daniel Dekay.
Hell yeah, thanks, Neil.
All right, bro. You hit that red button, and I'll stop on my end, and I'll see you at Willitown, bro. Oh yeah, Willitown is September. What are the dates? 22nd through the 25th in Ohio.
Next week?
Yeah, I'll see
next weekend.
See you next week, bro.
I'll be there. I'm there Friday and Saturday.
I'm there Friday. All right, let's do it.
See you then, brother.
All right, dude. Peace. Hey, do you like this video? Do you want to see more stuff like it? Well, consider being a patron of my Patreon page, patreon.com/Neil P. If you pledge monthly, you get some perks, you get some exclusive content, and you get to help stuff like this get made on the monthly. Yo, check it out.